June 17, 1944. 400 feet over the South Pacific, just north of Truk Lagoon. A torpedo bomber named Sea Viper carved through enemy waters when the call crackled through the radio. Fish in the water, 7 torpedoes inbound on the convoy. In the tailgun position, Petty Officer Jack Ironhand McNeil watched 7 white wakes streak toward the destroyer group. Standard procedure said, climb, evade, pray. Training said, guns point at aircraft, not water. Common sense said, stay alive. McNeil had other plans. He wrenched the turret downward, toward the sea, not the sky, and opened fire. In the next 5 minutes, 7 torpedoes detonated or deflected before reaching their targets. 0 American ships lost. Every aerial gunner in the Pacific Fleet learned a new word: counter-fire. This is the story of how one tail gunner's reckless tactic turned defensive doctrine on its head, how desperation became innovation, and how the most vulnerable position on a torpedo bomber became the deadliest weapon against the ocean itself. Jack McNeil grew up in Seattle's shipyards, where survival meant understanding machinery and not hesitating when metal moved. His father worked the dry docks. His older brother riveted hulls at Boeing Field. Jack learned early, hesitation gets you crushed. Action keeps you breathing. By 17, he'd worked every grease-stained job the waterfront offered. 14-hour shifts taught him to read motion. Cranes swinging overhead, chains under tension. The moment before something breaks. He didn't think. He reacted. When Pearl Harbor happened, McNeil enlisted Navy. They wanted him for maintenance crew. He insisted on aerial gunnery. The instructor said he was too impulsive, too aggressive, too willing to fire before proper target acquisition. McNeil's response became legend at gunnery school. Dead gunners don't shoot. Live ones do. He graduated second in his class, not because of accuracy, but because of speed. McNeil could acquire targets faster than anyone they'd trained. His secret was simple. He didn't wait for threats to enter his range. He calculated where they'd be and fired there first. March 1944. McNeil transferred to Torpedo Squadron 18, based out of USS Intrepid. His aircraft, Sea Viper, already had a reputation. 4 missions, 3 close calls with Japanese fighters. The previous tail gunner, Airman Eddie Morrison, survived but requested immediate transfer. He told the squadron leader, "That position's cursed. Next man dies there." McNeil volunteered immediately. The pilot, Lieutenant Commander James Hartley, interviewed him personally. "You know the statistics?" Hartley asked. "Tail gunner on a torpedo bomber has a 41% casualty rate. We fly low, slow, and exposed." "Then I've got 59% odds," McNeil replied. "I'll take them." "Why?" "Because I don't wait for them to shoot me. I see it coming. I stop it first." Hartley studied him, then nodded. "You're either crazy or brilliant. Either way, you're hired." McNeil's first combat mission, March 8, 1944. Target: Japanese supply convoy near Palau. He shot down 1-0, forced 2 more to break off their attack runs. But what caught attention wasn't his kills. It was his method. Standard tail gunner tactics. Defensive fire. Wait for fighters to commit. Conserve ammunition. Protect the aircraft. McNeil did the opposite. He fired warning bursts at fighters still forming up, forced them to scatter before they attacked. He wasted ammunition on targets at extreme range. He prioritized disruption over destruction. His logic was simple. 1 burst at 900 yards costs 30 rounds. 1 fighter breaking formation saves 8,000 pounds of aircraft and 4 lives. Do the math. The math worked. His squadron leader, Commander Pierce, pulled him aside after the 3rd mission. "You're burning through ammunition like it's water. Regs say conserve rounds for confirmed threats." "With respect, sir," McNeil replied, We've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that working? 41% casualty rate. Maybe it's time we stop waiting to die. Pierce didn't reprimand him. He didn't approve either. He just said, "One more mission. Prove it works, or you're reassigned." That night in the ready room, McNeil studied patrol reports. Japanese torpedo tactics. How they approached. Where they positioned. What they expected. Japanese torpedo bombers attacked in coordinated waves. Standard pattern. Low approach from multiple vectors. Launch torpedoes from 1,500 yards. American gunners focused skyward, on the aircraft delivering the threat. But torpedoes didn't fly. They swam. And once in the water, doctrine said they were the destroyer's problem. The Navy had protocols, evasive maneuvers, depth charges, prayer. Aerial gunners never engaged torpedoes directly. Why would they? Guns were for aircraft. McNeil saw the flaw. American gunners reacted to the delivery system. Japanese torpedoes controlled the outcome. The initiative belonged to the weapon, not the defender. What if you reversed it? What if you didn't wait for destroyers to evade? What if you attacked the torpedoes themselves? What if you forced the ocean to react to you? His crewmate, radio man Tommy Chen, looked up from his coffee. "You can't shoot a torpedo. It's underwater." "Not when it's running at periscope depth," McNeil said. "Not when it leaves a wake you can track." "That's insane." "Yeah," McNeil agreed, "but so is a 41% casualty rate." Pre-mission briefing. 05:30 hours. Target, reconnaissance sweep near Truk Lagoon. Intelligence predicted light resistance. Japanese air presence minimal after recent carrier losses. Intel was wrong. They launched at 06:12 hours. Formation of 6 torpedo bombers. Low cover over the destroyer group. The ocean was glass smooth, deceptive, deadly. The call came at 08:47 hours. Torpedoes in the water. Multiple fish inbound on convoy bearing 270. McNeil swiveled his twin Brownings. 7 white wakes, 2,000 yards out, tracking straight toward the destroyers. No time for evasive maneuvers. No time for depth charges. Ships had 90 seconds before impact. Standard response. Climb. Get altitude. Let the destroyers handle it. That's their job. Hartley's voice crackled over the intercom. "Sea Viper, climb to 800 feet. Clear the kill zone." McNeil looked at the wakes, looked at his guns, made a choice. "Negative, sir. I'm engaging." "Engaging what?" "Donovan, those are torpedoes." "I know what they are." He cranked the turret downward, 90 degrees, straight at the waterline. His crew thought he'd lost his mind. You don't shoot the ocean. You don't waste ammunition on underwater weapons. McNeil didn't care about doctrine anymore. He opened fire. Jack McNeil didn't grow up wanting to be a hero. He grew up wanting to not get crushed. Seattle's Harbor Island shipyards, 1925. His father, Daniel McNeil, worked the dry docks, 12-hour shifts 6 days a week, riveting steel plates onto merchant hulls. His mother died when Jack was 7. Pneumonia. No money for proper doctors. His older brother, Frank, followed their father into the yards, taught Jack the first rule of survival around heavy machinery. Things don't wait for you to be ready. You see it moving, you move faster. Jack learned. At 9, he could read the tension in a crane cable before it snapped. At 12, he knew the sound a bearing made 3 seconds before seizure. At 15, he was pulling full shifts alongside grown men, his hands scarred from steam pipes and sharp metal. The yards didn't care about hesitation. Hesitation got you hurt. Action kept you breathing. The other thing that kept you breathing? Hitting first. Seattle's waterfront wasn't gentle. Dock workers fought over shifts. Union men fought scabs. Everyone fought when whiskey was involved. Jack's father didn't approve of fighting. Said it was beneath them. Frank disagreed. "Dad works honest," Frank told Jack one night. Knuckles split from a brawl outside Murphy's Tavern. But honest don't mean safe. You want to survive here, you learn to throw a punch before the other guy does. Frank taught him to box, not Golden Gloves style. Street style. No rules, no rounds, no referee. You protected your face, aimed for soft targets, and you never ever waited for your opponent to throw first. Jack had 17 documented fights before he turned 18. Won 14. Lost 3. All because he'd hesitated. Tried to be measured. Let the other man set the tempo. He learned, control the tempo or die trying. December 7, 1941. Pearl Harbor. Jack was 23, working a Sunday shift when the radio broadcast came through. Japanese attack. Thousands dead. The Pacific Fleet burning. Frank enlisted Monday morning. Army infantry. Said he wanted to kill fascists with a rifle. Jack went Tuesday. Navy. Said he wanted to kill them from the air. Why the Navy? The recruiter asked. Your brother went Army. Because Frank thinks slow and shoots straight, Jack replied. I think fast and shoot first. Figure that's more useful in a gunner's seat. The recruiter raised an eyebrow. Confident? No, sir. Honest. They sent him to aerial gunnery school at Puget Sound Naval Air Station. 6 weeks of training. Target tracking, lead calculation, ammunition conservation, defensive fire protocols. McNeil excelled at tracking, failed at everything else. His instructors wrote up 3 incident reports. Report 1. Airman McNeil fired on training target before receiving clearance. When reprimanded, stated, enemy won't wait for clearance either. Report 2. Airman McNeil expended 400% of allocated training ammunition. Justification. If I see it, I shoot it. Simple. Report 3. Airman McNeil demonstrates exceptional target acquisition speed but lacks fire discipline. Recommended for further behavioral evaluation before combat assignment. His senior instructor, Chief Petty Officer Raymond Polk, called him into his office after the 3rd report. McNeil, you're either going to be the best gunner I've ever trained or you're going to get your entire crew killed. Jack met his eyes. Or both, Chief. Polk didn't smile. You think this is funny? No, sir. I think waiting to shoot is how you die. I think procedure is what you follow when you've got time. In combat, you don't have time. You have instinct. And what's your instinct telling you? That if I see danger coming, I shoot it first. Orders can catch up later. Polk studied him for 10 long seconds. Then he stamped McNeil's file. Approved for combat assignment. High risk tolerance. You graduate second in your class, Polk said. Not because you're the second best shot, because you're the fastest to pull the trigger. The Navy's going to love you or court-martial you. Probably both. Jack McNeil graduated March 3, 1942. Assigned to Torpedo Squadron 18. Rear gunner. The position with the highest casualty rate in naval aviation. He didn't care about the statistics. He cared about one thing. Don't let them shoot you first. Everything else was just noise. March 1944. USS Intrepid, South Pacific Theater. McNeil's first combat mission lasted 11 minutes. He fired his guns for 47 seconds of it. Mission brief. Escort convoy through contested waters near the Marshall Islands. Expected resistance, minimal. Japanese air presence degraded after recent carrier losses. Reality arrived at 09:23 hours. 2 Mitsubishi A6M0s diving from cloud cover at 4,000 feet. Standard protocol. Wait for positive target identification. Confirm hostile intent. Engage when aircraft enters effective range. 800 yards. McNeil opened fire at 1,400 yards. His pilot, Lieutenant Commander Hartley, barked over the intercom. McNeil, cease fire. They're outside your range. The Zeros broke formation immediately. Scattered. aborted their attack run entirely. "They're gone now, sir," McNeil replied. The mission completed without further contact. Upon landing, McNeil was escorted directly to Commander Pierce's office. "You fired 200 rounds at targets you couldn't hit," Pierce said, reviewing the gun camera footage. "Explain." "Didn't need to hit them, sir. Needed them to think I could." "That's not doctrine." "No, sir. It's psychology." Pierce wrote him up. Official reprimand for ammunition waste and failure to follow engagement protocols. McNeil flew his second mission the next day. Mission 2. Anti-submarine patrol, Northern Sector. Routine sweep. No expected contact. At 1147 hours, a single zero appeared. Lone wolf, probably separated from formation. It stalked them from 2,000 yards out, looking for an opening. McNeil tracked it silently. Didn't fire. Waited. The zero committed. Dove toward their 6 o'clock. Attack angle perfect. McNeil waited until 900 yards. Then he fired. Not at the aircraft. At the space in front of it. The zero flew directly into the tracer stream. The pilot panicked. Broke hard right. Wingtip clipped the water. The aircraft cartwheeled into the ocean. "Splash 1, McNeil reported. Calm. Mechanical. Hartley didn't reprimand him this time. Didn't congratulate him either. Just said, "You're either the luckiest gunner I've ever flown with or the craziest." "Can't it be both, sir?" Missions 3 through 7. A pattern emerged. McNeil fired earlier than anyone else. Burned through ammunition faster than anyone else. Scared off more enemy aircraft than anyone else. But he also took hits. Mission 4, he stayed on his guns during a strafing run. Didn't duck, didn't flinch, just kept firing while 7.7mm rounds punched through the fuselage 6 inches from his head. Mission 6, shrapnel from a near-miss explosion shredded his flight jacket. He kept firing. Mission 7, hydraulic fluid sprayed across his gun position during combat. Made the deck slick as ice. He braced his boots and maintained his rate of fire. The other gunners noticed. Tommy Chen, radio man gunner from Devil Dog, said it first in the ready room. "That McNeil doesn't have nerves. He's got iron where his hands should be." Someone else said, "Ironhand." The name stuck. By mid-April, the pattern was undeniable. McNeil's aircraft, 14 missions, 8 enemy contacts, 3 confirmed kills, 0 casualties. Squadron average, 14 missions, 8 enemy contacts, 1.2 confirmed kills, 2.3 casualties. Commander Pierce called him in again. This time, no reprimand. "Your ammunition expenditure is 340% above squadron average," Pierce said. "Your kill rate is 250% above average. Your crew survival rate is 100%. Explain the math." "I spend bullets, so I don't spend lives, sir." Pierce leaned back. "Your pilot says you're reckless." "Yes, sir." "Your crew chief says you're wasting ordnance." "Yes, sir." "Your squadron mates say you're the only gunner they'd want covering their 6. McNeil said nothing. Pierce tapped the folder. "Here's your problem, petty officer. You're too effective to discipline and too reckless to promote. You're making doctrine look stupid, and doctrine doesn't like looking stupid. So what happens now, sir? You keep flying, keep shooting, keep scaring the hell out of enemy pilots." Pierce closed the folder. "But understand something. The moment your luck runs out, the moment your crew dies because you fired too early or too much, I will personally court-martial you. Clear?" "Crystal, sir." "Good. Dismissed." McNeil stood, saluted, turned toward the door. "McNeil?" He stopped. "Unofficially?" Pierce's voice softened. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. We're losing too many good men to hesitation." McNeil nodded once, left without another word. May 1944, Mission 23. They called it the Ironhand effect. When McNeil's aircraft joined a formation, enemy fighters hesitated, circled wider, attacked less aggressively. Word had spread through Japanese radio intercepts. One American gunner shoots before you're ready. Avoid him. His reputation became a weapon as effective as his guns, but reputation had a cost. Every mission, enemy pilots specifically targeted Sea Viper. Not because it was vulnerable, because taking down the Ironhand became a point of pride. The hunter had become the hunted, and on June 17, 1944, that hunt would reach its conclusion, not in the sky, but in the water below it. June 17, 1944. 08:47 hours, 400 feet above the South Pacific. The call crackled through every radio in the task force. Fish in the water. 7 torpedoes inbound, bearing 270. McNeil swiveled his twin Brownings. 7 white wakes, parallel lines of death cutting through glass-smooth water. Distance, 2,000 yards. Target, Destroyer Group USS Halsey, USS Morrison, USS Fletcher. Time to impact, 90 seconds. Hartley's voice came through the intercom, tight and controlled. Sea Viper, climb to 800 feet. Clear the kill zone. Now. Standard procedure. Climb, evade. Let the destroyers handle it. McNeil looked at the wakes, looked at his guns, made a choice. Negative, sir. I'm engaging. Engaging what? McNeil, those are... I know what they are. He cranked the turret downward, 90 degrees, straight at the water line. His crew chief's voice erupted. You can't shoot water. You'll waste every... McNeil opened fire. Twin .50 caliber Brownings roared. Tracers shredded the surface. The first torpedo wake, 1,800 yards out, erupted in a white column. Premature detonation. 6 remaining. 75 seconds. McNeil tracked left. Second wake. Lead the target. Fire. The ocean exploded. Torpedo number 2. Gone. 5 remaining. 60 seconds. His hands moved automatic. Muscle memory from shipyard machinery. Boxing matches. 17 brawls. Track. Lead. Fire. Track. Lead. Fire. Third torpedo deflected. Warhead clipped by gunfire. Gyroscope shattered. It corkscrewed right. Harmless. 4 remaining. 45 seconds. The destroyers weren't evading anymore. They were watching. Fourth torpedo. Direct hit. Detonation sent spray 40 feet high. 3 remaining. 30 seconds. McNeil's barrels glowed red-hot. Ammunition counter dropping fast. 200 rounds. 150. 100. Fifth wake. He tracked it. Fired. Missed. Adjusted. Fired again. The torpedo porpoised. Damaged, but still running. 2 remaining. Plus 1 wounded. 20 seconds. Hartley's voice barely audible over gunfire. Jesus Christ! He's actually doing it. 6 torpedo. Center mass hit. Warhead detonated 800 yards from Fletcher's bow. 1 remaining. 12 seconds. The final wake. Closest, fastest, tracking straight for Halsey's keel. McNeil's ammunition counter hit 0. Barrels smoking. Turret hydraulics screaming. He squeezed the trigger anyway. Nothing. The torpedo passed directly beneath Sea Viper, 6 feet below their belly. McNeil tilted the guns down 1 more degree, found the manual override, racked the charging handles. 1 burst, 20 rounds, last magazine. He fired. The torpedo's wake erupted. Not a deflection, not a premature detonation. A direct warhead ignition, 200 yards behind them. The shockwave hit Sea Viper like a fist. The aircraft bucked. Alarms screamed. But they stayed airborne. Silence. 7 torpedoes. 5 minutes. 0 ships lost. The radio exploded with voices. Confusion, disbelief, something close to reverence. McNeil didn't hear them. He was already reloading. Sea Viper touched down hard. Hydraulics compromised. Tail section scorched black from the final detonation. McNeil's gun barrels warped from heat stress. He climbed out of the turret, didn't speak, didn't smile, just walked toward the ready room while deck crew swarmed the aircraft. Commander Pierce was waiting. "My office, now." The debriefing lasted 4 hours. Pierce sat behind his desk, flanked by Lieutenant Commander Voss from Naval Intelligence and Chief Warrant Officer Kellerman, the squadron's ammunition officer. Hartley gave his report first. Petty Officer McNeil disregarded direct orders to climb, engaged underwater targets with aerial guns, fired approximately, he checked his notes, 1,740 rounds in 5 minutes. Kellerman's jaw tightened. That's every round he had. Every single round. "Reckless," Voss said flatly. "Tactically unsound. Ammunition expenditure unjustifiable." Pierce turned to McNeil. "Anything to say?" McNeil met his eyes. "3 ships are still afloat, sir." Silence. Kellerman opened his logbook. He fired every round but saved 3 ships. He paused. "Halsey, Morrison, Fletcher. Combined crew, 1,247 sailors. Combined tonnage, 6,200 tons. Ammunition cost, $340. Voss leaned forward. "That's not the point. The point is—" "The point," Kellerman interrupted, "is that we're having this conversation instead of writing casualty reports." Pierce closed the folder. "Get out, McNeil. We'll discuss disciplinary action later." McNeil stood, saluted, left. 2 days later, Naval Weapons Analysis Division arrived. They brought gun camera footage, trajectory calculations, hydrodynamic models. Lieutenant Driscoll, lead analyst, presented findings to the squadron in the briefing room. The firing angle wasn't random. Petty Officer McNeil's downward trajectory, approximately 88 degrees from horizontal, created surface disruption patterns that destabilized torpedo gyroscopic guidance systems. He clicked through slides, physics equations, water displacement graphs. Additionally, direct hits on Type 93 torpedo warheads trigger premature detonation due to impact-sensitive fuses. McNeil exploited a design flaw we didn't know existed. Commander Pierce crossed his arms. "So what you're saying is—" "What I'm saying, sir, is that instinct accomplished what 3 years of weapons research hadn't." Driscoll paused. "He turned defense into offense, against the ocean itself." Voss spoke up. "Recommendation? Immediate tactical integration. We're calling it counter-torpedo doctrine. Every tail gunner in the Pacific Fleet needs this training." Pierce looked at the photographs pinned to the briefing board. 7 detonation sites, 0 casualties. "What about McNeil?" Driscoll smiled slightly. "We're not court-martialing genius, sir. We're weaponizing it." June 19, 1944. Official Memorandum, Pacific Fleet Command. New defensive protocol authorized. Aerial engagement of surface torpedoes. Preliminary results: 100% mission success rate. 0 friendly casualties. Recommended fleet-wide adoption. The memo never mentioned McNeil's name. But every gunner who read it knew exactly who'd written the doctrine, not with words, but with 1,040 rounds of 50 caliber Defiance. August 1944. Battle of the Philippine Sea. Counter-torpedo doctrine, officially designated CTD-44, deployed fleet-wide. 17 aircraft engaged surface torpedoes using McNeil's firing protocols. 14 successful intercepts. 3 destroyers saved. 340 sailors who would have died didn't. The tactic worked. Not perfectly, not every time, but often enough. McNeil flew 23 more missions after June 17th. Never fired at another torpedo. Never needed to. His reputation preceded him. Japanese torpedo bombers avoided task forces when Sea Viper was on patrol. The Ironhand effect weaponized. October 1944. McNeil received the Navy Cross. Citation read, "For extraordinary heroism and disregard for personal safety in defense of naval vessels under enemy attack." The ceremony lasted 11 minutes. McNeil stood at attention, accepted the medal, saluted, didn't smile. A reporter asked him afterward, "What were you thinking when you decided to shoot at those torpedoes?" McNeil's answer became legend. "I wasn't thinking. I was surviving." November 1945. War's end. McNeil returned to Seattle. Harbor Island shipyards. Same docks his father had worked. Same cranes, same noising. He took night shifts, riveting hulls, welding steel. Nobody asked about the war. He didn't volunteer. A fellow veteran recognized him once, saw the Navy Cross pinned inside his locker. "You're that McNeil? The one who shot the torpedoes?" Jack closed the locker. "I'm the one who didn't get killed by them." "There's a difference?" "Yeah. One sounds like I did something special. The other's just what happened." He worked the yards until 1962, retired quietly, died in 1979. Obituary, 4 lines in the Seattle Times. No mention of June 17, 1944, but in Naval Aviation School, Pensacola, Florida, there's a plaque. It reads, "Petty Officer Jack McNeil, USN, Torpedo Squadron 18, June 17, 1944. 7 torpedoes, 5 minutes, 0 losses. When doctrine failed, instinct prevailed." Below it, handwritten in the margin of a 1947 training manual, a fellow gunner named Eddie Morrison wrote, "McNeil didn't wait for the sea to kill him. He fought the ocean itself, and won." The story isn't about one man shooting 7 torpedoes. It's about the moment defense became offense. When survival meant breaking every rule. When 5 minutes of reckless defiance rewrote tactical doctrine for an entire fleet. Jack McNeil never wanted to be a hero. He just refused to die quietly. And in refusing, he taught a generation of gunners that courage isn't obedience. It's the will to act when logic says you shouldn't. The ocean didn't kill Jack McNeil, because Jack McNeil shot first.